For more on the Canucks and all things NHL, we welcome in Elliotte Friedman, our NHL Network Insider. Elliotte, the Canucks, they are struggling to say the least right now. What's the latest up there with the team and, more importantly, their head coach, Travis Green?
You know, Jameson, I just think that all the conversations I've had in the past couple of days, look, a week ago today, ownership met, and they're disappointed. They thought their team would be better. They thought their team would contend for a playoff berth and be in the battle in the Pacific Division. That's obviously not happened. I think the organization's in a bit of a state of shock as to how this season has started. And I think one of the things the ownership asked was, if this doesn't get better, what are we going to do? And, you know, the sense I get is that, look, they didn't want to make a snap judgment. They didn't want to make a snap firing. They didn't want to make a snap trade. The vultures are circling. You know, other teams are calling them saying, what can we maybe get out of Vancouver? And I think the Canucks really want to avoid that. But I do think the longer this goes on, there's no moral victories at this time. And, you know, I just think that right now everybody there is just kind of waiting for something to happen. And I hesitate to predict what the first thing could be, Jameson. But if this continues, something is going to change, and everybody's kind of sitting there on edge waiting to see what that first domino is going to be.
All right, much more positive situation going on for the Florida Panthers, who sit atop of the Atlantic Division. Do you see the Panthers keeping Andrew Brunette around permanently in that position, do you think?
Well, what I think the answer is, Jameson, is he's going to get a long runway, and they're not in any hurry to replace him. Like that I believe 100%. They've said it publicly. They've said it privately. Andrew Brunette is a guy that they want to just see, okay, we're going well. Why fool around with it? Let's just see where this goes and how we can do. And so far, the news is positive. And I think he's going to be given a lot of time and runway to show what kind of handle he can have on the bench. So I don't get the sense anywhere. Usually if you sort of hear names linked to Anaheim's GM job or Chicago or Vancouver even now, but I don't hear anything out of Florida like this coach is interested or this coach might be interviewed. So I think I take the Panthers at their word. They're giving him a lot of runway, and I think he's going to get a chance to see what he can do with it.
All right, he's doing pretty well right now. Speaking of head coaches, Colorado signing Jared Bednar to a 2-year extension. When and how did this all come together?
Well, I think that this has been something they've been working on for a little bit of time. I heard there were lots of ideas and things thrown back and forth. I'll tell you one thing I can tell you, Jameson, is that at the beginning of the year, there started to be some rumblings that since Colorado started slowly, could Bednar be in trouble? And someone said to me, if you go with that, you're going to look very dumb. And I don't need anyone else's help to look very dumb. So I'm glad that I was given that tip, and I was glad I was given that tip and told don't go with that, because not long after, of course, he got the extension. I think the Avalanche are very happy with Bednar, and they know that chances are if they try to replace him, it's going to be harder for them to make up for what they'd lose.
All right, interesting stuff. Elliotte Friedman with all things NHL. Elliotte, appreciate the insight. We'll talk to you down the road.
All right, guys, have yourselves a great night.
Time to go around the Nationals. So many things going on. Let's start with right here in the New York, New Jersey area. The New York Islanders finally get home. They go to the UBS Arena, and they excited. I can tell you, as someone that's lived in this area and remember going to the Nassau Coliseum back in the 70s when I was a kid, I mean, this is an exciting time for this fan base because they weren't sure if the franchise was going to stay. They were in Brooklyn. There was talk of them leaving. They've had all kinds of arena discussion over the last 2 decades, and finally they've got a home out there at Belmont Park. So beautiful building, and it's exciting for the Islanders to finally now be able to look forward as a franchise to the future.
Yeah, it looks like a snazzy arena.
Yeah.
With all the effects, all the excitement for the Islanders finally have a forever home. And the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, that was absolutely a brutal place to play. The scoreboard was off center. There was nothing good things about it.
Ice was tough.
And back on Long Island, too, the Nassau Coliseum, brutal, old.
So they had a lot of success there, though.
They did.
They did.
Now you got a brand new arena. There's going to be some good energy, other than the 2 losses over the weekend. But, you know, fans are excited.
Look at that,
and rightfully so.
Yeah. Look,
all the amenities.
Yep.
It just looks like it's out of this world. Can't wait to
I'm
see it first.
I'm looking forward to getting there myself.
I get to go there, I think, pretty soon playing the Islanders. But it looks great. They haven't had the start they wanted there. but they need players.
Yeah.
They need players on the ASA UBS
I mean,
arena because it's been tough.
Let's take a look at this. I mean, here are the guys that are in the COVID protocol right now for the Islanders, and these guys all missed the last 2 games. I mean, there's some significant names on there when you think about Bailey, the captain, Anders Lee, the veteran Andy Green, and then the most important to me is the guy in the bottom, Adam Pelech, because they're already missing Ryan Pulock, who is out 4 to 6 weeks with injury. I mean, those are the linchpin guys on the blue line for the Islanders. If you lose one of those guys, you're in trouble. They've been without both.
Talk about identity for a team and structure. That's what the Islanders are, and that's how they've had success the last years. And their identity is those 2 guys, Pulock and Pelech, is their number 1 pairing. So it changes the dynamic completely on the back end, Hartsey. I think that's why a little bit they've struggled. Yeah, they got to score goals too because they haven't been scoring at all as of late, and certainly the first 2 games at UBS Arena, but they need to get healthy.
Yeah, 2 of those defensemen, Salo and Hutton, making their NHL debuts this past weekend.
Against the high-flying Leafs.
I know, not easy at all. And, you know, you have so much excitement, and they're on the road for 13 games. Can you believe they're a 13-game road trip? And then you come home and all these guys are out because of COVID. So it's just tough pill to swallow, and you get so excited to play in the home barn, all the energy, all the feels, and you're sitting at home watching your team lose.
I was watching, and they had nothing going, no goals, and then they had a shift in their zone, in the Leafs zone for about 1:30, and the fans basically gave them a standing O. I love that. They know they're going through some tough times right now, and obviously decimated with the COVID protocol and the guys that are missing and injuries to Pulock, but the fans were on their feet. So the atmosphere looks like it's going to be great there. Islanders have to get it going, though. I mean, sooner than later, because that division,
tight division.
the Metropolitan Division, is an absolute beast, a monster. And I think they'll get it going, but you don't want to fall too far behind.
Hey, listen, they're already, when you think about it, right, they're sitting there at the bottom of the division right now with 12 points. Now, the Islanders, they're at home coming up, but the Pittsburgh Penguins, we've talked about them. Then they're on the road, Rangers and Flyers, back home for the Sharks, and then back on the road to play the Detroit Red Wings. So they've got to figure this out quick. They've got to hope these guys can get out of that COVID protocol and get back on the ice. And when they get back on the ice, get back into that structured system, because right now they're really leaning on their goaltenders. You said they're not scoring a lot, but I think it's hard to score when you can't move the puck out of your zone with that normal fluidity that they've had with those good defenders. So it's a struggle.
Trotz will get those guys dialed in. He's a veteran coach, and he's got a good feel of that dressing room, even when there's guys in and out of the lineup. But, you know, you got to lean on your coach to get him through these tough times, and I believe that he will.
Yeah, and also a shout-out to Joseph Wall for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had his first NHL shutout, so congratulations to him. Take him any way you can get him. Even if the Islanders are a little injury-depleted, take those shutouts. I want to go back to Saturday. We got some news today about Brayden Point. He did not play in the game against Minnesota yesterday. This happened on Saturday. He went flying into the end boards, and he was in a lot of pain on the ice, struggled to get off the ice. Now, this was called a penalty shot. And he
had a great chance initially.
And I figured that he would be done, but look, here he is. He almost scores on the penalty shot. Blackwood gets a piece of it, and then it hits the crossbar. And then he finished the game, but then now he is out, and we'll have to wait and see how long he's going to be out for. But boy, I didn't think he was going to get up from that.
I couldn't believe he took the penalty shot, and really couldn't believe that he finished the game. That shows a lot of fortitude, a lot of character from one of the best players, all-around players in the National Hockey League, Brayden Point. He does go crashing. Look at him stay with that puck and get a great scoring opportunity initially, and then, yes, it resulted in a penalty shot. Look how hard he goes in. It's real hard to defend himself, so obviously it's upper body injury. The left shoulder looks like he's holding, but I give him a lot of credit. He is a warrior, as we like to say. This kid is gutsy because he played after this, taking this penalty shot.
Of course he's going to be a cookie monster and get that.
But to play after.
No, I know. And you don't want to see guys get injured like that. And it's just such a helpless feeling. You're going so fast because he's trying to score on that breakaway. So he's going 100 miles an hour, and then to not get your hands up and go right into the boards where they're not moving. It's a scary, scary play.
Now you have Kucherov out, Brayden Point out. What do? You go win a hockey game against
Minnesota, that's right.
But
they tried to
with the backup goalie.
There's a reason they're back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions. Yeah, it will catch up to them because what a difference without Kucherov and Brayden Point. But they will still find ways to manufacture wins. And John Cooper, he's a remarkable coach. This team, they're a special team. They certainly are. We know they got off to a slow start. I think that was because of the long seasons and short off seasons they had the last couple of years, and
it's a teams good problem.
Targeting them. Teams prepared for them right out of the gate, but they had found their way prior to the loss and giving up a 2-goal lead against the Devils. They had points in 9 straight games and bounced right back on the horse with their 2 top players out. Stamkos has been terrific for him there.
Yeah, 8-1-2, I believe it is, in their last 11 games, so still playing well. We'll see how things go.
I love Brayden Point.
Yeah, what's not to love?
He's one of my favorite, and everybody. He's one of my favorite players to watch, just because he plays the game the right way. He does everything. Yes, he's highly skilled. He works. He skate, but he's diligent on the puck. He works. He's hard to play against, and he'll dance you every once in a while if you look at the puck as a defenseman.
All right, it's been a Dano Devils love fest today. So let's just keep it going here. The Devils farm team, and this is their first year in Utica, the Utica Comets. They've opened the season with 13 straight victories to establish a new American Hockey League record, 4 wins to start a season, and the American League has been around a long time. So to win 13 straight games is something special, so a shout out to Kevin Dineen is the head coach down there. Sergei Brayden, your former teammate, is one of the assistant coaches. Dan McKinnon is the general manager. Yeah, Kevin Dineen is the head coach. Dan McKinnon is the general manager, is also assistant GM with the Devils in their organization. But you can see here some of the stats, the goaltending.
Look at that. Look at those save percentages.
Boy, oh boy. Nico Dawes got a chance to play in the NHL earlier this season.
Already got a win.
Got a win, and then the other game didn't go as well. But some really good numbers, Dano, and this is great to see for the Devils organization as a team that's kind of been rebuilding. But there's a lot of good young players, and some of these guys have already bounced back and forth to the NHL. Alexander Holtz, who was a high pick, first-round pick of the Devils, he was down there earlier in the year, and I think he had 4 goals in 5 games. So it's nice to have those good players bubbling up from the minor league team.
Well, first off, quite a feat. I know the ultimate goal is to win the championship at the end of the year, but to win 13 straight games out of the gate, hard to see. Remarkable, and congratulations to the Utica Comets. And also, yes, now the Devils have some young guns in the pipeline, and what that does for your organization gives you depth, makes you push each other as far as, once I get my chance, I have to have an impact. I have to get noticed, because there's so many guys that are going to get a chance now, pushing you along the way. That just makes your organization, your team better as a whole, the whole organization as a whole, so much better. And great to see these young guys. I mean, so many of them. Zetterlund gets his call-ups, played a couple games for the New Jersey Devils. That's your ultimate goal, to get to the National Hockey League. But these guys are scratching and clawing, working hard, playing as a team. And a lot of these guys are chomping at the bit to get an opportunity in Jersey, and don't think that the big guys up top don't notice what they're doing down there, because they're going, every game, every shift means a little bit more, because 2-3 years ago, there was guys in the Devils lineup that weren't ready for the National Hockey League. Now, all of a sudden, you've got guys in your farm system, Utica, or your AHL affiliate, they say, ready to go, and it just makes it so great for the organization as a whole. And guys need a little push every once in a while, don't they, Hart?
And it makes sense. If you're making $4 or $5 million, you have a good year in the NHL, and you're like, oh, we can pay this guy $700,000, $800,000
with the cap system.
With the cap system, and he's going to be as good or better than our $4 or $5 million player. Then, see you later. We'll take this guy. You know what I mean? And if it's proven down there and he can make that jump up there, that's huge for organizational depth.
Yeah, and a shout out also to Mark Dennehy, who had been the coach there in previous years and is now a scout within their group, but he's helped develop some of those guys as well.